Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Earlier on this week, I was fortunate enough to be able to be a part of a call with Raven regarding Season 3 Reloaded, and a little bit of Season 4, not too much there, but we got to hear a bunch of new information about Season 3, some of the changes that we can expect, obviously with launch, which happened yesterday, but also throughout the season as well. We got new details on the Operation Monarch event with Kong vs Godzilla. Plenty of really cool stuff to break down today. If you enjoy the video as we go through it all, let me know by dropping a like on it. Really does help the channel grow. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date. Now in this meeting, we talked about a lot of different stuff, like I said. Let's start first, though, with some information on some previous updates that Raven said they wanted to talk more about with us as we got closer to Season 3, including audio adjustments, aim assist updates, 120 Hz on Xbox, all sorts of stuff like that. So first up, when it comes to audio improvements, they actually made a really interesting comment here. They said basically in every large update that we're getting, they're making very subtle improvements to the audio here and there, but nothing that they feel is substantial enough to warrant including in patch notes or, being super proud to talk about. Rather, we are going to have a very big update apparently to the audio with Season 3 Reloaded that's going to prioritize footstep audio and locational audio, and that's when they are foreseeing that there's going to be a large amount of patch notes detailing these audio changes that ideally improve things all across the board for being able to use audio information to your advantage and not it being some RNG 50-50 coin flip of am I going to hear enemy footsteps in this fight, or are they going to be completely silent until I'm being shot in the back. So big audio updates are currently slated for Season 3 Reloaded. They also talked a little bit about aim assist updates, and essentially what they focused on here is what we had going on over in Vanguard, where there were framing issues very similar across each game that made aim assist be very inconsistent. Sometimes where it would not work even though an enemy was right in front of you, other times where it would work through walls when you couldn't see an enemy. So aim assist should be getting more consistent throughout Season 3, where they have gone in and fixed some of these framing issues that should make it so that it's not, incredibly abused through walls with rotational aim assist, but also so you're not always losing it if you're fighting like with a little rail in front of you or sometimes with plants in front of you. We should see more consistent aim assist, which is a good thing all across the board. It fixes it on the broken end where it's, way too powerful, but also fixes it on the other broken end where it's not working when it should be. Now, when it comes to 120 Hz on Xbox, I see this comment on pretty much every single video I post, honestly, and they said they wanted to ideally have a more sound update and grounded update for us around Season 3. Unfortunately, though, just because this is not an issue that they can fully fix, in studio, it's reliant on Xbox and all their partners there. They don't have anything for this as of right now. They are still, they said, pretty much every day trying to work on this as best as they can, but it really comes down to Microsoft fixing things on their end, updating whatever their, exclusion things might be for an old gen game, but still getting new gen features. There's a lot of details in there that I don't even fully understand, that I'm sure most players also don't really get, just because it's a far more game dev behind the scenes thing than a lot of players think it is, but they are still working on that and they fully expect it to come back at some point in the future. They also talked a little bit about the reticle issue, where sometimes your reticle will just completely disappear, and they said that they've been working on this issue in the past couple of weeks and trying to produce it in-house so that they can fully find a fix for this. However, they've discovered that it seems to be a very subjective issue, so there is no 100% fix for this yet. Some players might realize that their reticles are no longer disappearing, but other players might realize that after an hour and a half, their reticle disappears. It'll be fixed for some players, but not everybody quite yet, because they have not fully found a solution to that, so just a little heads up there. Moving on, let's talk about some of the Season 3 changes. Of course, this will include a little bit of overlap between yesterday's patch notes and what they talked about in this meeting. There might be some larger details here, though, that we did not see in the patch notes. Obviously, we got the perks as lootable options now in game, which is super cool. It is only on Caldera for now, though. It's going to be coming to Rebirth at a later date, so Rebirth gameplay, you'll still find the normal loot stuff, but on Caldera you can find perks like Battle Hardened, Engineer, High Alert, Restock, Tempered, Quick Fix, Scavenger. Those will all be available there. You can also find Point Man in Plunder as well. However, those are all one and done perks, meaning if you pick it up and then you die with it, you cannot go back to your body and pick it up again. Your enemies don't get to loot that off your body. They essentially work just like the specialist token would. So really cool stuff there, and I imagine we see some other perks maybe make it into the mix at some point in the future too. Definitely values looting after you're getting your loadout a lot more than before. Obviously, they also added in the high value loot zones, which is really cool, pretty much straight out of Apex, but it works really well in my opinion. And they essentially wanted this in the game, not only to encourage landing at different spots and changing up gameplay, but to make regaining a little bit easier. Late game, you come back from the gulag, you don't really have a loadout for a few minutes, land at one of these places, you can get a lot of loot back, which is super ideal. Now, they also noted that with Season 3 Reloaded and even with Season 4, they're looking to give players more chances to stay in the game longer, so some way to keep your squad up more, or maybe some chance to regain more lives than just the one single gulag. Very interested in seeing how they go about that. Maybe we get like redeploy tokens of some kind that we can collect throughout the game. I got no idea, but that is something very interesting to note. We obviously got the new contract, the sabotage contract, where you can go and target a vehicle. You obviously get your basic contract rewards from that and an armored truck. We talked about that a bit yesterday. Then also something you might notice in game actually from prior to Season 3, but it's now official, is that the most wanted timer is a little bit different. Not only can you not hard ping a most wanted player on the map, it's a real-time movement now though, essentially, like it's way easier to track them, but you can't hard ping them. But the timer is going to go down quicker when you play more aggressive and you loot and you get kills. Your squad will actually redeploy faster because of that. So it's almost enticing you to play more aggressive after you grab a king or after you grab a most wanted contract, which I really like that idea. It just promotes more aggressive gameplay. Obviously, Season 3 included quite a few quality of life updates. They talked a bit about these as well. Masks aren't going to interrupt you when you're falling anymore, which is super ideal. I talked about this yesterday, obviously, but I'm glad that that's finally a thing. When you are falling off a cliff, maybe the top of a building, and the zone's hitting you right at that super inconvenient time, the mask won't cause you to die to fall damage. That'll just happen because you're like me and you've got weak ankies and you're prone to fall damage, and it's just, you're cursed to that. That's just how it is. The bounty refresh speed, you'll notice, is a little bit faster now on the mini map, and like when you're trying to track a bounty, it'll update more frequently and be more close to real time than before. XP tokens are going to become accessible in game, so you can actually activate those while you're getting ready to load into Plunder or Battle Royale or Resurgence, whatever it may be. Super nice QOL update there. The buy station is also getting some changes moving on here, where you don't have to like double tap to confirm your options. You can just quickly buy things, buy your squad mates back without having to go into that secondary menu and confirm you do want to do that, which I'm sure in some cases is gonna cause players to misclick and buy the wrong thing sometimes, but it's also going to allow players to do this much more fluidly and quickly in a life or death situation. Raven also talked a bit about redeploy positioning that they've updated with Season 3, and that's probably something they're going to continue to adjust over time, where when you spawn back in, whether it's from a gulag or whether it's from a buyback, you're not thousands of meters away from your team, or on Rebirth, you're on the other side of the map from your team, which can be really obnoxious. They are fine-tuning that over time. Then also something that we talked about, no more Diamatis for starter pistols on Rebirth, so it's, the best gun in the game right off the rip. That has been removed for obvious reasons, right? We obviously saw a lot of big weapon changes with Season 3, specifically to the sniper meta, moving away from some of the lighter snipers where they can't do one-shot headshots at certain ranges. It's only within a certain closer range that they can actually be that powerful. So obviously we talked about the big changes there. They also talked more, though, how with Season 3 Reloaded, they're going to introduce the Serpentine perk from Vanguard, which, as I'm sure some of you know, allows players who are sprinting, players that are running around, to take less damage. That's also going to be coming to ground loot with all the other lootable perks, and that's another way to sort of counteract these snipers and the constant one-shot headshot potential. If you're running around and if you're playing aggressive, you'll be able to take less damage, which is huge, not only for snipers, as they pointed out, but just in general. That can be a big change to how gunfights play out, which I'm very interested to see if that becomes the #1 perk in whatever category it's added into. I'd imagine Perk 2, just because that's already the most competitive. And they are further looking into health changes, trying to determine if they want to make 300 health universal across the board. That way it's one consistent game, unless of course you're playing something like Iron Trials. Speaking of Iron Trials, of course, we have that as a playlist on Caldera for the first time, starting off Season 3. They talked a bit about the playlists as well when bringing up Iron Trials and how that was going to be a big feature throughout this season. Rebirth Solos is going to be sticking around. They're very happy with how that was received by the community, and Rebirth Blood Money is going to be back, so we'll be able to play Plunder on Rebirth quite a bit throughout Season 3. Now we get to the big stuff, Operation Monarch Godzilla vs. Kong. We basically got the full rundown on what this mode is going to be, information that you cannot find in any blog posts or any previews for what this is outside of this video here. So, Operation Monarch, this new Monsters event, is going to be a 2-week limited time mode. It's going to consist of 60 players per match in a battle royale match, and it has basically a combination of rules between Resurgence and Power Grab, if you remember that back from Verdansk 84. Now, the Titans, as they called them, aka Godzilla and Kong, are on the island, but not to attack players. They're on the island to destroy the Nebula 5 production. That's why they're there in the first place. That's sort of the lore behind that. And these Titans are going to patrol the islands, whether they're walking or swimming, or I think one of the devs said hot trotting around, like they're skipping around. They're playing hopscotch on Caldera. But they're not going to be aggressive towards you unless you attack them. And then it's, that's your fault at that point. You're the instigator. But if you're just walking by Godzilla, he's not going to, attack you unless you shoot at him, unless you drive a car into his foot and, stub his toe or something. Then he's going to be mad at you and then he'll attack you, but they are passive by nature until they are provoked. Now, what I find to be super cool about this LTM is that players are going to get to battle against the Titans, against Kong and Godzilla, but also with Kong and Godzilla. So obviously, like I said, if you're mean to them, they're going to be mean back, but you can actually use their powers for your own benefit if you play it right. In this mode, there's going to be a power grab meter, basically a meter that you want to fill up, because as you fill it up, you get bonuses. You can fill it up by getting kills, by doing contracts, by looting. And as you fill it up, you get bonuses like overdrive, which we've had before. That gives you an increased speed. It gives you faster reload, stuff like that, which is super cool. And then it also is going to make it so that if you fill out this meter completely, you get something called the Monarch Scream device, which basically allows you to control a Titan, whether it be Godzilla or King Kong. And if you do that, you can use them to attack other players or attack areas on the map. We'll get to that though in just a moment. There's going to be a thing called a Titan Frenzy public event, which we'll get just like Juggernaut events or fire sales. And it's going to require you to push the Titans back. It's going to make them very, angry and hostile towards everyone. And if you do push the Titans back and hold them off, you'll get prizes. The top squad gets a Monarch Scream device and you don't have to fill up your meter. So that's a quick way to do that. And essentially, when you're using this device, which you can get, like I said, either way, filling up the meter or by pushing them back, you can use King Kong and have him pound the ground with like a blast radius that'll knock down players. You can also make Kong throw boulders, which instantly knocks any players in the vicinity that that boulder hits. If you try and control Godzilla, his heat ray, his fire breath basically destroys you no matter what. You don't even get knocked. You are insta-dead and it leaves that area on fire, which is basically like a Molotov, but way worse if you're inside of it, they described it as. So you can actually use them to attack areas on the map, like late game, that could be huge. Or if you're trying to go after a squad, you could use them if you have that Monarch Scream device, which I think is absolutely awesome. This event, this LTM, is also going to have various intel drops that you can collect. There's going to be vehicle drops and heavy weapon crates dropping twice per match. There's going to be some new rewards you can get in-game, 4 rewards, 2 charms, and 2 calling cards in-game from completing certain objectives. And then in general, there's going to be like the event challenges, 8 challenges. You can get a blueprint at the end, and then some of the other normal rewards, calling cards, stickers, stuff like that. On top of that all, we also have a new gulag debuting in Season 3. If you didn't notice already, it is actually taking place inside of USS Texas, which obviously is a throwback from World War II when we had that before from Sledgehammer, so we've got that now. And that's essentially what we got for the event in Season 3 as we know it now. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about Season 3 Reloaded in Season 4. The devs did end this call with a few new teasers for what the future holds for Warzone. Season 3 Reloaded is reportedly going to have a new fast travel system. If I had to guess, it's going to be a train for the 3rd time. We'll have to wait and see, but that was talked about a little bit. They didn't go into any detail though. And Season 4 reportedly is going to have the biggest changes to Caldera yet. Now, if you watch the videos from earlier on this week, we talked about the volcano event and how that could be happening based on the teasers at the end of Season 3 / at the start of Season 4. Maybe that's what causes the biggest changes, but Season 4 is going to have some substantial changes to Caldera as a map, which obviously is very exciting. But we got to learn a ton about the future coming months of Warzone, which I'm very excited for. There was a lot of really, really cool stuff revealed here, obviously between the launch of Season 3 yesterday and then also what we know is now coming later on in the season and potentially even with season 4. That said, that is going to wrap things up for today. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on. So feel free to hit that sub button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with the latest news, updates, loadouts, and tips. And as always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. The links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.